Good morning. Welcome to the workshop, Selling to the Government, Procurement Support for Businesses. First, I would like to acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. And our first speaker today is Kimberly Murphy, Manager, Procurement Engagement, Service Nova Scotia and Internal Services. Kimberly, over to you.
Thank you, Yulia, and welcome everyone. I am, as Yulia mentioned, the Manager of Procurement Engagement, and so my role with the province is to ensure that everyone who needs to enter into the procurement journey has the rules and tools that they need to get started. So this session today will just take you through how we procure as a government and give you some tips to get started. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about Nova Scotia procurement and what we do. We're going to talk about how the government of Nova Scotia procures in terms of the tools that we use and how we buy at different dollar values. We'll also talk about how you can bid, how to receive tender notifications, and a little bit about marketing your business to government. So procurement offers information and guidance to all government departments, boards, agencies, and commissions who are looking to purchase in a unique and creative, sustainable way for needs that sometimes can be complex, and all doing so while we are being open and fair, that will maximize competition while supporting our environment, economy, and society with the underlying goal of obtaining best value for the province. And one of our most prominent roles is to facilitate the high value purchasing process for our clients. And when I say our clients, I mean our departments, the Nova Scotia Department of Environment, Public Works, etc. An example of a high value procurement would be if Public Works needs to build a school or buy snowplows, they would work with us to facilitate the procurement process, but they maintain their status as the subject matter expert. If a public sector entity, somebody that's not part of the provincial government, but who makes up the public sector in Nova Scotia and spends public money, needs to procure something, they do so on their own terms. They facilitate their process internally with the policies that they have, but they must post on our website, which we'll get to. So they don't use our services, but they do follow some of our processes. And what do we buy? Well, we pretty much buy everything with the exception of a few things that Paul will talk about later in his session. We buy tulip bulbs, we buy educational services, we buy backhoes and heavy duty equipment, we pave roads and highways, we do property maintenance for buildings that we own within HRM and other parts of the province. We buy clothing for a lot of our staff that are required to wear uniforms, or for those people that are within our correctional facilities, they need clothing as well. And then we would buy the food and any other maintenance services that go along with running buildings. And we also buy a lot of consulting services, engineering consulting, architectural, along with regular stream business consulting services as well. And we buy in a number of different ways. So one of the main ways that we buy is by using standing offers, which allow us to offer goods and services to all of government or to some specific governments. We go to tender for things that are high value, and under value, we have different processes, as you can see here for this dollar value. Standing offers are a continuous offer from a pre-approved supplier or suppliers to supply goods and or services as requested through the use of a call-up process during a particular period of time. And usually it's for a predetermined price and within a predefined dollar limit. So these are used most often for general commodities, stationary supplies, goods that we would need in our buildings like furniture and whatnot. And when we do need to go to tender for a new standing offer contract, it is posted on our public tender site under the tender tab. And you can see here what a posting would look like. If you were interested and if it was still open for bidding on, you would just select this. You would just select this button or click on the link and it would take you to the details. We also have some standing offers that offer ongoing onboarding. And what that means is that at any time during the contract or the time frame of the standing offer, you can actually onboard by submitting your information and by following the processes that have been outlined. And they are noted here on our website under the standing offer contracts tab. And you would basically just click on the link and it will take you to a more detailed page that has some documents that you can link to. And you will notice on our page, I'll just go back a couple slides. On the listing, you'll see a lot of them have ongoing onboarding. Some of them have a defined date. So this means that during the period of the contract, the standing offer contract, the department that's managing it, or even procurement services who are managing it, have defined a time that we're going to allow people to onboard. And that's just due to the nature of the standing offer. So for instance, we have building design and standing offer, which includes architectural services, surveying, and all of those sorts of things. They prefer to do the intake at one time of year. And so that date will be added. There are some standing offers that have a TBD, to be determined. They're not entirely sure when they're going to open it for onboarding, but that option is available for them to use when they're ready. I'll just get back to where we were. And a lot of the standing offers that you will see on that tab that have ongoing onboarding are managed by FlexTrack. And FlexTrack is a third-party service provider that we've hired through a competitive process. And what they do is basically manage the suppliers that are interested and qualified to provide services based on the types of standing offers that we have. So we have an example would be the managed service provider for contingent labor. And that's just a fancy bunch of words for business management or consulting services standing offer. And so these are some of the standing offers that FlexTrack manages on our behalf. And so we've got IT communication services, executive search, temporary services, and the management business services. And so these are available for you as suppliers to become part of. And the instructions are fairly straightforward. It's just basically emailing to say that you're interested in the particular category. And then you will interact with FlexTrack for the remainder of the time. And how it works is if I, as a government employee, need to purchase something that's covered under one of these contracts, I would create a statement of work and send it to FlexTrack, and they would find the suppliers within the categories that would match the work that I need to get done. They would send them to me, I would evaluate them, and then make my recommendation, and FlexTrack would commence the communication. Some other pieces that are managed by FlexTrack are our communications standing offers. They are managed in conjunction with Communications Nova Scotia, and they cover the things that you're seeing here on the screen, like communication services, writing and editing, marketing services, translation services. And Communications Nova Scotia is an arm of government that has their own in-house staff, but from time to time they will require external staff or external services to be able to fulfill the needs of government. Or maybe they just don't have those services in-house. So that's why we have these standing offers available for onboarding. And you can just see here, this is what they look like on our website. So if we're going to buy something that's of high value, and you can see the high value numbers here, for goods, it's anything over 30,300, and for services and construction, it's anything over 121,200. These are considered high value, and they must be publicly tendered on our website. So, for example, if the Department of Agriculture needs quotes to supply and place armor rocks for dike protection, they would determine the specifications, come to us and say, this is what we need, help us turn this into a document that we can put on the tender notice board for people to reply to. And as I mentioned, all high-value goods, services, and construction opportunities are posted on our procurement portal, and we'll take a look at that if we have time before we switch over to Paul. And this is where you would go as a supplier to find all of the opportunities, not just by that are posted by the government of Nova Scotia, but also by any public sector entity within Nova Scotia. So this is what it looks like when a high value contract is required. The opportunity is posted on our public tender website under the tender tab. And this is what you will see. You'll see the document number, the type of solicitation that it is, the name of the solicitation, the end user entity or who's going to be actually using the goods and services that are being requested, the date the tender is posted, the date it closes, and its status. So our responsibilities from a government perspective is to post all high value opportunities on our portal, and that includes anything that's going through our Aruba discovery process, which I'll talk about in a bit, anything for BidX, which covers all of our infrastructure, the majority of our infrastructure roadway work. And in some very rare cases, we may post something that has a PDF that you can respond to that way. Our role is also to ensure that all tender documents are explicitly and accurately include all bid submission requirements, instruction, contact information, the deadlines, evaluation process, how the final contract is going to work. That's very important for you as suppliers to make sure you understand so that there's no chance for you to miss anything when you do submit your final bid. Once all bids are submitted, our role is to evaluate everything exactly as they're outlined in the tender, so we can't just decide to add anything new in when we're evaluating. And when we're done with that, we would notify the awarded supplier and obtain a signed contract from the supplier. In some cases, there will be an added layer of work that has to happen, which is called negotiation. And we will make that known in advance when the tender is up for bidding. And your responsibility as a supplier is to make sure you know where to find the public opportunities if you're interested in selling to government. Explicitly follow the instructions as they're outlined in the tender. Ask questions about the opportunity before the time remaining expires. That's probably one of the most important things I can tell you. If you have questions, there are written instructions on how to submit a request, where to submit it to, and also be sure to identify any addenda that may be posted for the opportunity, and that just means any changes that happen along the way. So if there's a change to the posting date or closing date, if there are changes to specifications, or maybe there's a notice of a bidder briefing, anything like that, make sure that if you're interested in this particular opportunity, that you follow along with all the addenda that have been posted. And of course, submitting complete compliant bids before the time remaining expires. That's very important. And I'll just add one thing here. If for any reason you do submit a bid and you're not successful, there is a process called bidder debriefing that's available. And it's something that you can request. There are the guidelines on our website that will tell you what the timelines are for requesting a debriefing. And it's a really great way to learn about the response that you have submitted where you were really strong and where maybe you could improve on the next time that you respond. It doesn't compare you to anybody else that bid, but it simply gives you an idea of where improvements can be made. So we facilitate the tendering process for our 19 departments, agencies, boards, and commissions, which we've got about 100 or more of those in Nova Scotia, and 2 health authorities, which include 40 hospitals. The next one. Public sector entities, you've heard me say that word, includes our municipalities and towns, academic institutions, school centers, which would have been the original school boards. And Apples Valley Regional Center for Education, for example, has 40 schools within it. So 8 regional centers includes a whole lot of schools in Nova Scotia. And this just here is a note to say that federal government offices in Nova Scotia do not post their tender opportunities on our site. They have their own site for that. And as of September 2022, we started uploading all of public sector entity postings in Nova Scotia to the CanadaBuys website through the single point of access provision in a trade agreement. So even though public sector entities operate on their own terms and most of them have their own policies, they are required under the Public Procurement Act to post their high value tenders on our site. And that just means that there's a one-stop shop for Nova Scotia suppliers to go to find opportunities that exist in the province. And as I just mentioned, now with the single point of access, CanadaBuys does house all of our tender notices, but the original documentation and the original posting still is maintained on our site. And this is what our procurement portal looks like. It's been newly renovated, just was released in February. And we have divided information up based on the user groups that are most likely to use our website. That includes suppliers, public sector entities. We've also included all of the opportunities and notices and policies and legislation, which includes some guides and resources for you as suppliers. And if you're looking for the tender postings, they're listed on this in this third box. And you just select current tender opportunities, and it takes you to the most recent postings. You will see here there's over 20,000 results that are listed. That means that there are 20,000 tender postings in our database, which goes back about 6 years. And that includes all public sector entities in Nova Scotia. I checked yesterday, and I think there are, 230 current opportunities, and about 800 of them that have recently closed. So that's quite a lot of opportunities that run through our system on a regular basis. And when you get to this page, everything will be listed in the most recent that has been posted. There's also filtering opportunities, options here that you can check. You can look for individual organizations, you can look for category, you can look for the status, whether it's opened, closed, has been awarded. And you will be able to see who the procurement has been awarded to. That's just how the screen shows. You will also see the organization that is posting the tender. That's very important, so you know who you're submitting your bid to. And you can filter by tender number, tender title, organization, and category. And the tender specification formats. So years ago, downloadable documents were pretty much the way that everything was available. Now, with a lot of organizations moving to electronic bidding platforms, that's most likely what you're going to see. And then we do have some external companies that provide bidding platforms for us. So that would be BidX is one of them, and Ariba Discovery is another one. So if you were to see something that is downloadable, you would always see under the tender documents field, a little icon that you can download. Many smaller municipalities or organizations still use the tender documents as a PDF file because they have yet to move to an electronic bidding platform. For those that use third-party organizations or third-party companies to manage their tender notices, you will see a link to the actual, or actually this one is just a link to the to their organization website. So this is for the municipality of East Hants, and they will take you directly to their own website where the tender posting and information is available. And BidX is, as I mentioned, a company that we use to actually manage the intake of the posting and intake of bids for highway construction related projects. And there is a fee to become part of that if you're interested, and all the information is available on our website as well. You just see the link. And again, if you're interested, BidX, it's available for you to search. Ariba Discovery is something that's very important if you are interested in selling to government that you'll need to learn about. So this applies to all Nova Scotia agencies, departments, and the Nova Scotia Health Authority. Suppliers must register with Ariba Discovery to be able to view e-procurement opportunities, and also to participate and submit bids. So we have moved to a completely electronic format where everything is viewable and submittable in Ariba Discovery. And to be sure that, or to know that you're looking at something that goes through Ariba Discovery, all of our provincial tender notices start with the DOC prefix, which indicates that it is a Nova Scotia tender and is available through Ariba Discovery. You would just click on the tender ID link and it would open up, and then you would see the tender discovery link right there. And that will take you into Ariba Discovery. And if you are interested in learning more about this, if it's something that you were thinking you might want to bid on, click respond to posting, this little yellow button right up here, and it will ask you to log in. So this is where you want to get yourself set up in advance of getting into the bidding for provincial government tenders. It's a very easy system to use in terms of setting up your account. It's just answering questions about your business and also selecting the commodities that you would like to use or to match to your business. And once you've done that, then you would review all the prerequisites, and this will give you the information about the procurement. And once you've registered as you're interested in bidding, you will be notified through this system of any changes or addendum that come that have been added to the file. On our website, we do have a lot of guides and resources to help you get through that if you need them. And they're available under the support and training on the main page of our website. So that was all about high value opportunities, or now we're going to talk about low value opportunities. And that means that anything under $2,500 has a different way for us to deal with. The first step, and in any case, we all must check to see if there are any standing offers in existence. This is a rule that we have. If it is on a standing offer, you've got to go there first. If it isn't on a standing offer, departments can approach businesses directly for their requirements and make the purchase using a purchase order or a procurement card, which is just a visa that we have to use. And this is done at the department level. These purchases do not go through our office, procurement, nor do they go through Ariba. For anything that's between the $2,500 and $10,000 mark, we still need to go to a standing offer first. Then the second step is to obtain 3 quotes. So we can approach known suppliers and ask for them to respond to a little statement of work or a little request for the goods and services that we need. So anything between these dollar values, so this is a little bit higher, but below the high value posting thresholds, again, we need to look for standing offers. And then the second step in this case would be an invitational competition, which is a more robust 3-quote process, but it goes through Ariba, and you would be invited as a supplier to bid. So that's why it's important to get yourself registered in Ariba so that you have the opportunity to bid. So they would be contacted usually by email, and the template will ask for a price, timeline, and anything else that may be important to what it is that we're actually purchasing. And in general, you would usually have 10 days to respond. So from an accountability perspective, we are responsible for ensuring that the Nova Scotia Sustainable Procurement Policy is followed. This policy has been written to align with the acts that we have to follow, trade agreements and business ethics that all procurement entities in Canada must legally abide by. Our client departments must follow and keep records of all applicable procurement processes used for audit purposes. And so example of that would be they must obtain specific approvals before they can proceed at certain dollar values. They must provide it that they try to reach or get 3 quotes, and they must keep records. And the other thing that's important from our perspective is that there's a separation of duties. So those people that are buying something aren't also issuing purchase orders and then paying, because there could be a conflict of interest there. And all of our purchases are subject to audits, both from our own auditors and the Nova Scotia Auditor General. And there's also the opportunity for FORPOC inquiries and in some cases, even legal action. So how can you compete? Well, selling to government, learning about the government processes is the first thing. E-procurement and guides, knowing where to register and how to get yourself set up for that is important. Engaging in any supplier training or outreach, something similar to today. Knowing where to find support, learning about Ariba, and tons, which we'll talk about. How am I doing for time, Yulia? Good?
Still good. Yep.
Okay. So this I showed you before. This is our main page of our web portal, and there is the supplier box. And in it, you can see that there's a section for getting started, tender opportunity notification service, which was tons that I mentioned, overview of standing offers, e-bidding with Ariba, and supplier training and support. The Getting Started page walks you through the steps that you need to go through in order to learn about selling to government and to be ready. And so some of the things that are listed there are confirming that you're eligible to sell to government, making sure that you've got all the registrations in order and whatnot, learning about the procurement process, finding opportunities, just getting the email notifications through tons, Ariba discovery, checking tender requirements and asking questions. And finally, getting paid. That's one of the most important things. So several links are available to learn about e-bidding with Ariba, finding guides and how to register with Ariba Discovery and access more support. So this would be on the e-bidding link that you would choose, and it just goes through what is e-bidding, the supplier guides, and then down here there are a lot of videos to help you get started if you need help. If you need help in terms of support, there is a link that you can actually submit a ticket, and that ticket will come right into our office, and someone will be able to get back to you as soon as possible, just to determine whether or not it's a technical issue, or if there's something wrong with the way the tender was posted, or if there's just some issues that you're having with the system. Either we can help you, or we will be able to send you through to our Ariba support line, which is managed by Ariba themselves. So the Tender Opportunity Notification Service, if you haven't registered, I would highly recommend that you do so. This is a free service for suppliers, and it is, it's just generally you go in, you sign up, you select the categories that best match your business or, the service offerings that you have. And once you've done that, every time a tender notice is posted that matches those categories, you will get an email into your inbox. The emails usually come out at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they're a good way to stay on top of what's being purchased within government. There are the options to select all categories or just select a few that match your business. And then as you get used to seeing how certain commodities and services are being categorized, then you can refine your categories in your business profile. There is, this is a new platform that we're using. And so if you were registered previously with TONS, you're going to have to re-register. And information on how to do so is on our TONS page. So I think what I really want to emphasize is that registering for TONS and Ariba Discovery will give you a lot of opportunities. You'll see things coming through. Ariba Discovery is a private company, so they do post for a number of public sector entities, but they also have many private sector companies who post. And once you're in the Ariba Discovery environment, you have the opportunity to reply or to receive notices of private sector opportunities that match the goods and services that you've entered in your profile. So that's one really great way to start learning about more opportunities that are available in the public sector. Review and understand tenders. So take a look at what's currently being posted. Take a look at historical tenders that have been posted. See who is buying what. Understanding how you can bid, and knowing your potential customer. So this is something that's very important, because when I meet with suppliers that want to sell to government, a lot of times they say, well, I just want to sell to government, but we're big and we may not all need everything that you're selling. So it's really good practice to learn who your customers are within the government environment. So if your goods or services are more likely to be purchased by, say, the Department of Justice, then it's good to learn the kinds of things that they post to buy as a standalone purchase. It's good to know if they have any standing offers that you would want to be part of. And it's good to know how they buy and what their cycles are. So perhaps they do a lot of their buying in May, maybe they do a lot of their buying in December, or maybe it's all throughout the year. So you can use our website to look at that information. And I think if I can, I will just take you to our website. Oops. I'm trying. If it doesn't work, I'll have to do it. Yeah, let's try this. So if I stop sharing and then share again, if I just have a few seconds to do this.
We can see, we did see we did see it.
You can see it? Oh, okay. I can't.
But now we're back at the presentation, so you'll have to go back and click.
I don't know what I did. Okay, hold on. Can you see it now? No.
Yes.
You can? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is the website that I was talking about, and here's all the information about getting started. Supplier training and support. There is actually some sessions that we're having in the next few months that will go through a portal overview. So you can register on our site. If you know anybody else that may be interested in a similar session as today, they can register here for that. And then here are the pieces of information for e-bidding and setting up tons. The tender notices, they have a few different filtering options, and these are really great to be able to define who it is that you want to pinpoint in government. And so you can select the organization here. You can choose everyone in Nova Scotia that's considered a public sector entity. And then you can choose some departments within the government. So if we look for Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture, you can see they have some tenders that have been posted. And so you can see they're not very active. So they don't do a lot of posting. The last one they had was in January, and then they didn't have anything for a few years. So that says to me that a lot of what they buy may be under threshold or may be covered under a standing offer. So you might want to figure out who in those departments is actually responsible for purchasing lower value things. And when you click on here, you should be able to see some contact details. If you don't find an individual assigned to this work, then you can contact P-Tenders, and or you can take a look at our contact page, which I'll show you in a minute, which outlines who in our office actually procures what commodity. So if we look for, let's look for one that we know has a lot, that would be Public Works. So right now we're doing a lot of what we call ring tendering, which is work that's done on our highways all throughout the summer. And there's a lot of work going on there. This would be one of those, this is for furniture, for classroom furniture. It's request for supplier qualification. You can see it's a competitive open bidding, what type of solicitation it is, and which trade agreements it applies to. That can also tell you the dollar value if you know the trade agreement limits. And this would be the link that would take you right to Arita Discovery. And again, this is the contact name. So this person is in our office, and she would be able to provide you some information about the tender only after. She can't really talk to you during the tender while it's open. But this notice here says all communications regarding this event, including addenda, will only be available through SAP Ariba. So there's an event message board within SAP Ariba, and those event messages would go to this person. So if this one is closed and you still want to learn who in the Department of Works you might want to talk to for lower dollar value purchases, you could ask Amanda, and she might be able to help you. And if you're in here, you can also see the standing offer contracts that I mentioned. And so these are all of the ones that are available. Consulting services for architects, translation, and they're all here. They're available for you. We also have on our website alternative procurement notices. So certain trade agreements require us to post anything that we purchase outside of the normal tendering process. So in certain cases, we might need something for compatibility or sole source, meaning that there's only one supplier of a good or service. And in some cases, we may need to purchase things for emergency reasons. So say a bridge washed out and we need to quickly fix it or find alternate route for people that live in that area. That would be considered emergency, and we don't need any pre-approvals to get that work done. So those are all listed here. And it shows you the contact information and the organization that issued that alternative procurement. If you need any help, there's a section here that is for suppliers, and there's also a section for public sector entities. So as a supplier, you would click here, e-bidding, selling government, that would take you to the links for that. If you need support with the portal or anything else, we have a ticketing system that allows you to submit your question, and it goes right into our office, and people are there to answer it throughout the week. And then if you're looking to contact us directly, there is a contact us page. And this takes you to, it's a very big listing because we have over 80 people in our office, but it does detail who does what within our office. So under buildings and highways, you can see who is the category manager, who are the specialists, and what areas they are responsible for. So if you're interested in selling janitorial goods and services, you might want to contact Chris, and his email is right here for you to do so. If you are in the world of general goods and services, they're all listed here. And then if you're into clinical, we've got a clinical section as well as IT department or division that purchases. So all that information is there for you, as well as a number of resources. Our trade agreement information is posted. Our guides and things are posted as well. And if you're interested in setting up a debriefing, there's a guide to tell you how to do that on our website as well. So under policies and legislation, guides and protocols, there's a whole set of guides here. So here's the bidder debriefing process. If for any reason you've got an idea or innovation or something that you think would be good for government that solves a problem we don't have the answer to, you can submit an unsolicited proposal. The information is there. If for any reason you feel that you need to launch a formal complaint, the information is here to do so, as well as our construction contract guidelines, how our public sector procurement or entity folks can piggyback on some of our standing offers. And then there's links to our Public Procurement Act, and there's also pages to go over our trade agreements. So we've recreated this to make it so that it's easy for you to find the information that you're looking for. And if there's anything that you can't, just always submit a ticket and let us know. And I think that's it for the formal part of my presentation. If there's anybody that has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Hopefully I haven't scared you all off. It's not that scary.
Hi, I have a quick question, and I apologize if you went over this already. But the process for getting onto the standing offer lists, what can you touch on that again, please?
Yeah, sure. So there are two different types of standing offers. One that has ongoing onboarding, and so they would be listed here, and the instructions to do so are included in the link. So
Okay.
for instance, temporary services, ongoing onboarding. This one provides a zip file, and that zip file opens up, and then there are documents that cover what I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's documents that cover which what am I trying to say? The divisions of what's covered under that standing offer, so the categories, and the instructions on what to do.
Okay.
When you want to bid. So these are the onboarding ones. Not all standing offers have continuous onboarding.
Okay.
There are some that are posted publicly, and well, all of them are posted publicly, and you can search for them under the solicitation type. And so, for instance, HRM has a standing offer out for vegetation clearing along the shoulders of roads and things. And so you would click on that, it would give you the instructions. They use a different platform called Bids and Tenders, and you would follow the instructions there. So in these cases, you need to apply to these standing offers during the period of time that they're open.
Okay.
And it's not just the province that issues them. In fact, here, these are all other public sector entities across the province.
Okay.
So this is for the school board. They're looking for consulting and engineering services. Bulk and truck and dump trailers, they're looking for standing offers for that. So we buy a lot of different things on standing offers, and just depending on how the standing offer is set up, it will determine how and when you are able to access it.
Okay.
But there's
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
I'm Nicola.
Mhm.
Regarding requests for proposals, does the SAFER Department of Natural Resources and Renewables, would the company need to have an Ariba profile for that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So anything that comes out of a provincial department,
Yes.
99.9% of them go through, I won't say 99, I would say 90% of them go through Ariba. It's the BidX ones and things that are roadways. But if you wanted to look for an organization, let's see here. Natural Resources, you said?
Yes.
So you could search for them. They've got one open now. They're looking for a request for quotation for comfort stations on Lawrencetown Beach. So you can see all that they have posted, and awarded means it's done, it's awarded. Expired means it's closed for bidding and that it's in the evaluation process. And if things are awarded, I didn't show you this part. It will tell you who the company is that has been awarded, as well as for what amount. So this bunch of information is really great for you to see who your competitors might be, what thresholds, our departments can manage for certain types of procurements. So this one was for weather forecasting services. And so that's your business. You can see that there was only one bidder, or there was one award, so it wasn't a multiple supplier award, and this is the dollar value. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you. That's very helpful.
You're welcome.
Kim, there was a question, but it seems to have disappeared. The question was, if they already have done the questionnaire for the federal government within SAP Ariba, how do they add the provincial questionnaire?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I would think that once you enter your Ariba Discovery, create an Ariba Discovery account, you only need one. You don't need multiple.
But there, you would have a separate questionnaire. So we, as the federal government, have a questionnaire, and then within their profile, they would actually have the Nova Scotia questionnaire. I assume once they go into a provincial link, it would then maybe prompt them.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, because we were one of the first public sector entities to start using Ariba Discovery. So others have started, including the federal government. So I don't really know how that happens. But if you leave it with me, I can ask our Ariba folks and see. So if whoever asked that question, you can send Yulia or us email, then we'll answer that for you. That's a good question.
Okay. Thank you. And does Ariba, I guess she's got a question in the questionnaire, does Ariba provide notifications directly, or is it through tons that she has to set up?
No. So Ariba Discovery will send you notifications, and those notifications are based on what categories you set up. Tons will also notify you. The difference with Tons is that if there are any addendum or anything added to an event in Ariba, you have to be in that Ariba space and have identified that you're intending to bid to be able to get the addenda information. We don't post that on Tons. So that's the only difference. Tons is mostly for, it's for you to see everything that's being procured in the province that's being posted on our website. Not everything is over threshold. A lot of entities post things that are below the thresholds that I showed you. And municipalities have much different thresholds too. Some of them are higher. So it's good to register for Tons as well, because you just get it all in one little bundle. It comes in an email every morning, and you can see in a general sense what is being purchased in Nova Scotia. Plus, it also gives you a good idea of some of the infrastructure that might be being built. So right now we've got a lot of building happening in Cape Breton with health care facilities, so new hospitals, renovations to hospitals, new nursing homes. And so if anything within your service offerings fit into any of that infrastructure, but maybe not at the building phase, but maybe at the fit up phase, or maybe at the implementation phase when they need to have food, or they need coverings for windows, or furniture for their individual rooms or laboratories, then it's good to know what is happening in the province so that you can be ready for the time that possible procurement might happen. And you can also make yourself known. So in Cape Breton, one of the stipulations for the contract manager, the project manager, is that they must look for local businesses to do business with first, which is a newer thing for us in these large builds. And it's just to, for a couple of things. One, to become more aware of suppliers that are in the local area. Two, to give them some ability to be part of a big build that's happening in their location. And it's also to allow for companies that may not be able to bid individually, but may be able to work together to provide services or goods to one particular project. So that's it. The website is a really great tool for you to use for market research. And if you do have any questions, you can certainly reach us through, my email. One of our general email addresses is here, or otherwise you can reach me through Yulia.
Thank you very much, Kimberly. Any other questions by any chance? Okay, I think I see something in the meeting chat. Regarding Tons registration, how do you proceed if you do not see the service your business offer listed in the commodity list? Example, web development.
So the UNSPSC codes, United Nations Standard Specification Codes, I think, classification, it's a big long acronym. That's something that's going to take a little bit of getting used to. What you see when you register as Tons, you see level 1 and level 2 categories. There's actually 3 and 4 level categories that you don't see that can be used on the, let's see here, we can get back to the, I have a few more minutes, I can give you to our website. I'll give you a tip. So, short answer, you can call me and I can try and help you. Second answer is and what I'll show you here is, let's see here, let's try and find a good one. When I said that you only see level 1 and level 2, that's not a good one. The buyers who are posting this, and procurement specialists that are posting tender notices, see 4 levels. And when they pick their 4 levels, or when they pick their commodity level 1, they see more. So it's most likely that web design might fit under level 4 category or a level 3 category. So it's important to figure out what the level 1 commodity is for the goods that or services that you sell. There are some conversion guides that can help you, or I think Paul might have a tool that can help you pinpoint the ones. But if you're having trouble, you can let us know and we can try and help. Let's see here, category. And while Paul is giving his presentation, I'll try and find an example of one that might have the website in it for you, and I can share that with you. But it is a little bit more complicated than the old system. We only had maybe 120 categories, which really didn't cover everything that we purchased. And so sometimes it was difficult to put a category on a commodity or something that we were buying. It just didn't fit. So this is supposed to help, but it's just a learning curve to get used to it all.
Thank you, Kimberly. Any more questions? Okay, so let's move on to our next speaker, Paul Gerin, Outreach Officer, Procurement Assistance Canada, Public Services and Procurement Canada, Atlantic Region.
Thank you. Just be a moment there to share my screen. There. So hopefully everyone is able to see the objectives. So good afternoon. My name again is Paul Gerin. I'm with Procurement Assistance Canada as part of the federal government's Department for selling goods and services to the in terms of selling goods and services. So I'll talk a little bit about selling to the government of Canada. I'll also identify and review two of our sites, buyandsell.gc.ca, as well as our Canada tenders. We won't actually go into a demonstration, but I'll talk a little bit in terms about how our new government electronic tendering site works. So we call it the Government Electronic Tendering Services, better known as SAP Ariba. And then we'll also talk a little bit about how to follow opportunities and how to locate useful resources and sources of information. So similar to the province, you have to look at the federal government as not a single client. For large and complex contracts, they are managed by Public Services and Procurement Canada. And we do have over 100 departments and agencies that do similar purchase goods on their goods and services on their own. So when we do think of departments like the RCMP, they have detachments all across the country in remote areas. They would need a whole range of services. Some of those services would be centralized and purchased by PSPC, so Public Services and Procurement Canada, while various small purchases in a remote location for landscaping, snow removal would be done on a regional basis. So similar to the province, you have to look at it from the large perspective, but also from the department and the office location as opportunities as well. So in terms of competitive process, we do have different thresholds. So similar to the province, we do have specific thresholds for goods and services, but our dollar value is different. So anything over $25,000 for goods and $40,000 for services will go through a proactive tender service. Anything below $25,000 and $40,000 will use low dollar procurement, and they will use what they consider a non-competitive approach, but they will still reach out to suppliers to get 3 quotes. So if I'm purchasing something that's $5,000, rather than just doing a single source, I may reach out to 3 suppliers and ask them for the price, the turnaround, and the actual cost that I'll incur. So Anything over 25,000, we will use our tendering site, but anything under 25,000, then departments and agencies will reach out to suppliers directly. The reason why, we're trying to get the best value for Canadians while enhancing access to both being competitive and fair. We do ask suppliers to do a bit of research. So to network, to research both federal departments and to reach out to organizations like our office here at Procurement Assistance Canada, because at that point we can then help you navigate the departments and their contacts, as well as help you identify the opportunities. So with procurement over 25,000 and over 40,000, in order to simplify and ensure a quicker process, we'll actually use 3 different methods of supply. So similar to the province, we will put out a request for proposal. We will also do a request for standing offer. So the standing offer would look for items a little bit more holistically, as well as looking for supply arrangements. So we will do call outs under all 3 for services and products on an ongoing basis. So when we think of supply or standing offers, the standing offer is to meet a recurring need when a department or an agency repeatedly buys the same good or service. The standing offer is an offer for that potential supplier to provide the goods at a prearranged price under set terms and conditions when required. So it is not a contract until we actually call against the standing offer, but it does allow that supplier to already have an arrangement in place. So a standing offer, as an example, for paper, we would have a predetermined price for paper, and a box of paper would have a specific price regardless of the department. So the RCMP, if they're ordering a box of paper, will be the same price if CRA is ordering a box. So large purchases that are done interprovincially or interdepartmentally will have standing offers that the departments will look at first. And then if there's no standing offer, then they'll do a request for proposal, or they will do a call up against a standing supply. And a supply arrangement, similar, is a supply arrangement when goods or services are bought on a regular basis, but when a standing offer is not suitable for the variables as a result. So there would be some contract negotiation. So neither party is legally bound as a result of the supply arrangement. So the seller is able to adjust the price. And we do look for bidders to be pre-qualified. So we will look for suppliers to actually be pre-qualified under that supply arrangement, be it for consulting or for commodities. That way, we know that that supplier is available to provide the supply. So anything from consulting to food or goods in terms of being pre-identified. Really enhances the pool. And sometimes when a request for proposal is put forward, it is only those that are pre-qualified that have a supply arrangement or a supply, if they have a standing offer arrangement or a supply arrangement, that can actually bid. So a lot of times for specific products or services, being pre-qualified does ensure that your business does have that ability to reply to a specific request. Similar to the province, we do have standing offers that do continuous intake. Some of the continuous intake, though, may be done on a quarterly or biannual basis or every 6 months. So that is something to be aware of, that some of the standing offers or supply arrangements have been around for quite a few years, and they're around for quite a few more. So we do have contracts and supply arrangements that actually expire in the year 2100. So we're still quite a ways away, but if you were to look at those supply arrangements or standing offers, they update every quarter or every or every year, depending on the type of commodity or supply that we're looking to purchase. So we're currently going through some transition. If you've ever dealt with the federal government in the past, then you were probably quite familiar with buyandsell.gc.ca. So we have transitioned over now to a national platform called CanadaBuys, and there it is the primary website now to look for government tenders and contract history, as well to access the electronic tool called SAP Ariba. If you're not already registered as a supplier with the federal government, then you would be going back over to Buy and Sell. And within CanadaBuys, it will bring you back to the host website. So depending on whether the information is on Buy and Sell or on CanadaBuys, it will redirect you. So I can start off on Buy and Sell and look for tenders, and it'll then redirect me to the tender link on CanadaBuys. So the Buy and Sell website does still hold some historical significance. It does have the information to register as a supplier. It does currently hold our procurement policies and guidelines, our procurement contacts, also any federal initiatives and programs. It'll also host our events and seminars and the applications that might be used. Similar to the province, we are going through a migration through electronic tendering. So for some of our tenders, they will require you to still use a PDF, where others will then push you through SAP Ariba and into SAP Ariba Discovery to actually submit it electronically. Currently, in 2023, we are going now through another exercise. So in a few weeks, I'll probably be updating the slide to actually include Canada.ca. So some of the information that is currently on buyandsell.gc.ca will be archived, and anything that is up and active will then move over to Canada.ca or redirect you to CanadaBuys. So we are in a transitional phase. At some point, probably at the end of the calendar year, Buy and Sell will be archived. It'll still be accessible, but it'll then redirect you to active links either to CanadaBuys or to Canada.ca. So as a resource, the resource page for Buy and Sell does provide information for suppliers on how to register, how to sell, how to manage your supplier account, and then we'll redirect you to searching for opportunities and also how to contact us. So it does provide you with a host of information as to how to navigate the site. Yes. Was there a question? Okay, all right. So the Buy and Sell website does provide you with a lot of information for businesses. Myself, as an employee, I would use for government and actually access information there as well. So within the Buy and Sell website, it also includes our open data. So that actually provides you as a supplier the ability to look for information under anything that was historical. So it does provide you with the ability to do some research in terms of finding opportunities as a supplier. In terms of a broader audience, anything that's historical, it will also identify the private sector tender publishers as well as industry associations. So it does provide you as a supplier a lot of the historical information that may have been posted over the last few years that has not transitioned over to the CanadaBuys website. So in terms of steps as a supplier, it would be to first register within our supplier registration database. So you would actually receive what we call a procurement business number. So if you're already doing business with the province or with the federal government in terms of being incorporated or have a payroll or have an HST account, it is the same business number. So the procurement business number is an extension of your business account with Canada Revenue Agency. So here we would be adding the letters PG for procurement of goods and then 0001 for your primary account. It is a requirement at this stage to actually have your supplier registration, because in order to be paid, we do need to have you registered as a supplier. And then through either SAP Ariba or the department directly, they would then require you to submit your information for payment, usually now through e-transfer or through check. But we don't do as many checks anymore. So in order to register to be paid, you do need a supplier registration. And then as you proceed through SAP Ariba, there is a section within our questionnaire for the Government of Canada where you do need to put in your Canada Revenue Agency number as part of the registration for the federal government. Registering within SAP Ariba is twofold. So there is the registration within SAP Ariba just to have an SAP Ariba account. And then as you go through the portal from the federal government, there is a supplier questionnaire. So we had mentioned a little bit earlier that the province has a supplier questionnaire. Kim will reach out and let us know if by going into an active tender within the province, if the questionnaire is there, or if you actually have to email their support team to have the questionnaire uploaded to your SAP Ariba profile. But if you enter through the federal government in terms of SAP Ariba for the first time, then the questionnaire will be part of your application process in terms of creating your SAP Ariba account. So in terms of networking, we do have the two opportunities to help suppliers. So we do have a federal government employee directory that allows you to access information for most federal public servants, except for the Department of Defense, the RCMP, and the Canadian Securities Intelligence Services. Most other departments and agencies, you are able to find the contact for either the purchasing officer or a regional manager to find out who actually does their low dollar value, or if you actually have questions on an upcoming project in the area. If you're unable to navigate and identify anybody, then that's where our department, through Public Services and Procurement Canada, we're then able to assist you as well and identify either somebody within our office within PSPC, or if it's something very specific back to the RCMP or say to the Department of Defense or Parks Canada. Here in Atlantic, I do know that the RCMP has a general intake email. So at that point, if you're looking to do work with the RCMP, we can then share with you the information or help you identify it within the government employee directory. So this is our new website for CanadaBuys. So in terms of just navigating, we do have some tabs just at the top. So the home does bring you back to the home page. Getting started will bring you back and forth either within the CanadaBuys website or redirect you back to the buy and sell. So if you currently don't have a supply registration number, then under the getting started, it'll give you a bit of information as to how to register, and then it'll redirect you to the directory within the buy and sell website. The resources will provide you information on tools and resources in terms of working within CanadaBuys, as well as the resources within SAP Ariba. About Us will provide you with information in terms of about the department, and the contact support is the help desk. So there are two help desks. Anything just in terms of general purchasing and knowing where to start, then you're able to reach myself and people here in Atlantic in terms of how to navigate the CanadaBuys team or how to register as a supplier. In terms of registering and having any issues with the initial setup of the account, then the team within CanadaBuys would actually help you. In terms of logging in and registering for an account with SAP Ariba, we do ask that you go through our site if it is the first time that you're going through SAP Ariba, or if you're already registered with the province, then what you're wanting to do is look for opportunities within either SAP Ariba or within CanadaBuys to then prompt you for the government questionnaire. So the account access will then give you two options. It'll provide you with the ability to register within SAP Fieldglass or within SAP Ariba, and you're wanting to register within SAP Ariba. So again, a little bit in terms of the resources, contacting support, and learning more about CanadaBuys. So I'm a little bit envious in terms of the filtering aspects of the province, because unfortunately our filtering isn't as sophisticated as the province's filtering. So within the filtering program within the CanadaBuys, as mentioned, we are now identifying not just federal procurement, but provincial and municipal. So based on international trade agreements, CanadaBuys is the single source for international buyers to be able to see opportunities both at a federal and provincial and municipal level. So if you were looking for opportunities within Canada, you're able to filter both within Canada, both for awarded or open. For federal, if it is something at a provincial level, then you would be redirected to a provincial organization. So the tendering site for CanadaBuys does redirect you to other organizations. So if it is a provincial registration with the Province of Nova Scotia, it'll then redirect you to the provincial office of Nova Scotia's platform for procurement, or if you're going directly into SAP Ariba, it'll then redirect you into SAP Ariba. So that's one of the reasons why we encourage suppliers, if they don't already have an SAP Ariba account, to register and to have that account created. So either going in through the federal government's portal or through the province's portal, creating that account. That way, if an opportunity does push you towards that portal, you're not then looking to then register. In terms of navigating the federal site, we do recommend removing the word awarded. So you're able to click on the awarded X and remove that, and then just look for filtering. And then the filtering does allow you to look for goods and services or through the various provinces. Unfortunately, we're not able to do it by department. And we usually recommend to people, if you are filtering, to use the provincial filter versus the municipality filter. The municipality filter may limit your ability to see other opportunities that are just outside of your area. So for Halifax, you don't want to miss out on an opportunity, say in Colchester or East Hants, by only putting in Halifax. You'd want to put in Nova Scotia to identify all provincial opportunities as well as any federal opportunities that are then posted. So the benefits of using CanadaBuys. So there are a lot of platforms that both federal and provincial entities are using. So similar to the TUNS website, the CanadaBuys website does allow you to set up notification. It is a free access, so there is no registration. It does use simple language, and it also uses 3 different types of coding. So it uses both the previous goods and services identification number, simple language, and then the UNSPC code. So the UNSPC codes have been mapped at a federal level, and there's a large Excel database that is available through our open data platform and through the resource links that are identified within the support. Within the chat, though, I've put in 2 different UNSPC links. So hopefully everybody has seen those. Those are the 2 links that I use when I'm helping suppliers identify their commodity or service and looking for that UNSPC code. That way, they're able to pre-identify those at this stage. That way, if an opportunity comes up at a federal level, they're then able to find those codes appropriately. A lot of our contracts, if we were to look here at the communications and consulting, if we were to go into that request, it would either show us the goods and services code or the UNSPC code. Depending on the department, they may actually show us both. But at some point over the year, you'll no longer see goods and services. It'll just be the UNSPC codes that will identify the commodity that is being purchased either as a good or a service. So the tendering site is live. if you are looking to set up just a notification on any type of search, once you've put in the keyword search within the search box and you've applied the filter, I recommend just follow the search. So follow the search will allow you to follow any opportunities under that product category that you've identified, as well as the limitations of geographical boundary that you may have put. So if you've put in janitorial and Nova Scotia, then by following the search, it'll then prompt you to put in your contact information and an email and a subject line. So you're able to modify the subject line. That way, if you've got several notifications set up, then you're able to have the subject line very specific. That way, you know exactly what opportunity comes in. Again, if you have questions about CanadaBuys or the SAP Ariba, we do have a help desk, so you're able to call them or email them or chat with them, as well as a resource guide. So in terms of using the CanadaBuys site, or even creating and ensuring that your SAP Ariba account is not really up to its best ability, it is something that our office through Procurement Assistance Canada then can help you navigate the SAP Ariba registration, and either sharing our screen, we can show you what our profile looks like within SAP Ariba and ensure that you're set up correctly. Or if you're willing to share your screen with us, we can then show you how to ensure that your information within SAP Ariba is set up for the federal government. One of the things with the federal government is within the government questionnaire, there is a step under question 9 that will actually require you, if at that point you are submitting or working with the department in terms of submitting for a request, to actually put in your payment information. So step 9 does require you to, at that stage, if you're actively selling or looking to be paid by the government, to actually put in your information for direct deposit. So that is one of the processes within CanadaBuys and within the SAP Ariba platform. In order for the federal government to pay you, then you do need your SAP Ariba account created and then also submitted with the questionnaire. So if you do have any difficulty navigating either CanadaBuys or SAP Ariba, then please reach out to myself or someone on my team, and then we're able to assist you as well. So again, CanadaBuys /tenders brings you directly back to the tendering site. So it'll bring you to this view within the platform. So CanadaBuys /tenders brings you to this site. That way you're able then to follow and set up opportunities for the federal government. What does the government buy? Our adage is we buy everything from paper clips to warships and helicopters. So we do buy a variety of products and services. Similar, we do identify suppliers under supply arrangements or standing offers. But in terms of the CanadaBuy tenders, it does allow you as a supplier to look for your product using simple language. So web design, as an example, would identify web design and then would also then give you either historical or active tenders, both at a federal or provincial level. Again, you're able to refine your search for the type of tender. So if it's an open or closed, the region of delivery, and the type of good. And then you're also able to save your search in terms of emails, tweets, or other social medias, but it's also to stay on top of those tenders and any amendments. So again, SAP Ariba is a web-based tool that allows businesses to view and bid on tender opportunities. As mentioned by Kim, it is used by various organizations. So as an example, the federal government uses SAP Ariba, the Province of Nova Scotia, the City of Toronto, and the City of Ottawa, as well as other municipalities and provinces across Canada are starting to use SAP Ariba as their registration tool, but also in terms of a submitting tool, in terms of submitting your completed. Currently with the federal government, depending on the department, you will be pushed within SAP Ariba to look at the tendering documents and to submit, or the information will be on the tender website asking you to download a PDF zip and to then submit either by email or by Canada Post Connect. So SAP Ariba is accessible through the CanadaBuys site. So if you do have an SAP Ariba account already with the province, but have never done anything with the federal government, I would then encourage you just to log in via CanadaBuys in terms of going in and looking at an RFP or a request that pushes you within SAP Ariba. That way the questionnaire is there. If not, we can help you then identify how to obtain the questionnaire. So what other services does our office provide? So Procurement Assistance Canada does provide other seminars. So we do have some in-depth seminars. We also do one-to-one meetings. So I meet with suppliers on a daily basis, be either virtually or in person. We do have a national 1-800 number. So we do have an info team that does provide answers when the local team isn't available. We also do self-help tools, service tools. So the information is available online for suppliers to provide the information. Recently, we've just started some procurement coaching. So as a procurement coach, what we do is we meet with suppliers that may have not been successful in a previous federal contract bid, and we'll go through some of the information on I wouldn't call it a make-believe RFP, but we'll look for either an RFP or a document that is related to your industry, and then go through the document with you. We're unable to look at anything active, but we can look at historical and then go through the coaching materials to show you in terms of evaluation criteria, in terms of documentation, in terms of questions, in terms of security. So the procurement coaching is a little bit more in depth than the one-to-one meeting. So the procurement coaching is actually a prearranged set of businesses that will submit and actually see whether or not they're eligible for the procurement coaching. So currently the procurement coaching is for diverse suppliers, but we've noticed that there is a need sometimes for just that extended one-to-one meeting. So a lot of the information that I cover in a one-to-one meeting is sometimes a little bit longer in terms of a process by doing it with the procurement coaching. So there we would set up 4 specific meetings. There would be some takeaways. I would actually give you some homework to then do a follow-up on a follow-up meeting. So a procurement coaching session is usually 4 to 6 weeks, where a one-to-one meeting could be just a one of, or it could be 1 or 2 meetings that we would prearrange based on our schedules. So in terms of seminars and reference sheets, so we do a different seminar in terms of finding opportunities on the electronic site. So we actually would do a live demo with you in finding opportunities. We then have a larger presentation called Bidding on Opportunities. So there we will actually go through the actual bidding process and all of the key points within a bidding document. So the Bidding on Opportunities is probably the heaviest of our seminars. And then we would then go through that RFP or an RFP document and show you how to bid for the federal government. Similar to the province, if you've been unsuccessful, then within the specific timeline, there is the ability to ask for a debrief. So we do encourage suppliers, if they've gone through the bidding process and have been unsuccessful, to reach out to that department within the allowable criteria to then get a debrief on why your submission wasn't successful. Sometimes a bid can be unsuccessful for something as small as forgetting to sign the document where the signature is required. So if a document needs to be signed, then bidders, if they have not signed and they keep making the same mistake, then without doing a debrief, they're not aware that they're not fulfilling all of the obligations under the contracts. We also have a seminar specifically for those who provide professional services to the government. That way we're able to talk a little bit more specifically about some other databases that we use in terms of pre-identifying suppliers and the supply arrangements that fall under those. Obtaining security clearance. In the past, we would actually get suppliers to go through security in terms of an evaluation. Obtaining security has changed. So now it is part of the bidding process where the contracting officer will then support the businesses that are putting in their submissions to then go forward with their security application, depending on the process. So depending on the criteria, they may look at you to find the process in terms of step 3 is when you go in for your security versus step 1. So by contacting the security officer or by looking through the actual document, it'll actually identify at what stage you need a level of security if it's applicable for the work that you're doing. In terms of just general information, so nationally, our toll-free number is there, as well as our national website. And then if you're doing business across Canada and you're not sure what resources or tools are available, then we do have 6 regional offices. So we go from Pacific to Atlantic, and then in Ontario, we do have 2 offices, one for the province and then one specifically for the National Capital Region, just due to the density of the federal government and some of the central departments and agencies that are there. In terms of follow-up and reaching out for questions, you do have my contact information here. Easier to reach me by email than it is by phone, but you are able to reach out and send me an email if you do have any follow-up questions. We do have a general email and phone number as well for our Atlantic office, and then also our national line. Okay, so Claudinia, if you're looking for the supplier registration link, what we can do is if you'd like to send me an email, I can then send you directly the link for the supplier registration. But if you were to go on to buy and sell.gc.ca, if you would go under buy and sell.gc.ca and you click on the left side of the resources for businesses, you'll see the link for supplier registration.
Thank you, Paul. Anyone has any questions? I just see one question for Kimberly, actually. How would you find the procurement contact for the 2 Nova Scotia health authorities?
For the 2 Nova Scotia health authorities, it depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for someone to answer questions about a high dollar value procurement or something under value?
Hi, Kimberly, it's Anne Louise. It would be for high. The question would hopefully to get a contact for high value.
Okay, and in what, I guess, what division?
It would be for international recruitment.
Okay. That's a good question, and I'll have to get back to you on that. There is somebody in the Nova Scotia Health Authority, if it's about nursing staff and that sort of thing.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can send you their contact information. I think at present they do have an arrangement with a number of suppliers for those services, and whether or not they're going to be going out for tender for those in the next little while, I'm not sure, but I can certainly send his information to you.
Okay, I'll send you an email then.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I also popped in the chat the UNSPSC information for the person looking for the website design. So as I mentioned earlier, the UNSPSC codes are not necessarily as intuitive as you might think. So sometimes it just needs a little bit of investigation. And the two resources that Paul put in the chat, I would just give you a little bit of a word of caution. The database set that we're using in our on our website is not the most current. It's the one that that matches with SAP Discovery. So you may not find what you're looking for, but they're there. It's just that it might take a little bit of time. It even took me a little bit of time to find the website design one. So
sorry about that. I was looking to minimize my screen and an error hit the power on my laptop.
Oh. But if you ever have any trouble looking for categories, just let us know.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So any other questions, please? Looks like we are good. So we are a little bit ahead of time. Thank you very much, Kimberly and Paul, for the wonderful presentations. I will be sharing the presentations and the recording when it's converted and ready with all the registrants. So please stay tuned. And if you have any questions and you couldn't find, just in case you couldn't find Paul or Kimberly's email, you can always send me an email and I will put you guys in touch with them.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks very much, you guys. Super helpful. Lots of good information, and appreciate your willingness to have us reach out if there are questions. It's really nice to have